Hello again. This week we're going to be taking a look at another of the Gospel accounts, and we're going to look at Luke. Here's how Luke 1, chapter 1 reads. Since many have undertaken to set down an orderly account of the events that have been fulfilled amongst us. He goes on to say that he's going to write down his collected wisdom on the matter and his compilation of the events. This is a really important passage for understanding what the Bible is and how to read it. I say that because look at what Luke says. He says that people have taken it upon themselves to write down an orderly account of the things that have been fulfilled amongst us. Now, some people will try to tell you that the Gospels and the Bible generally was written decades, if not centuries, after the events portrayed in them, and therefore they are at best legends and developments and riffs on the ideas that might have happened and might have taken place at the time. But really, there's no way that any of it can be taken as real history. People talk about trying to separate the Jesus of history from the Christ of faith. Luke doesn't allow for that possibility. He says that these things that he is going to be writing about for his patron Theophilus were fulfilled amongst us. This is first generation witnessing. This is people who are actually there telling other people about what actually happened. You see, when we come to read the Bible, we're not reading a bunch of myths and legends. We're not reading fairy stories or people writing a good yarn, a nice narrative, a bit of fiction. We're reading the accounts of people who witnessed what went on and wanted to faithfully record it. However weird, however unusual it might be, because they wanted people to know the facts. And that makes a massive difference for how we look at the Bible, how we read the Bible, what we do with the Bible. Because if what was written in Luke's Gospel and the other ones, and the Bible as a whole, if it's just a bunch of stories, if it's just a bunch of myths and legends and tales that were handed down from generation to generation, but don't have any truth, actual factual, historical truth in them, then we can say, wow, that was emotionally, gets you in the feels. It's powerful. It makes you think. But really, it's not on any level greater than the Avengers or the Battle of Britain. Even that film maybe is better than the Gospels because at least it's based on truth. But we can write it off and say, well, that was nice, let's move on to the next thing. But if this is actually fact and not fiction, that means that the things that are written in it, really, they don't just get you here, they have to get you here, and they have to get you in your will as well. Because if it's true, if it's really actually physically, historically true that Jesus is God in the flesh, God come to earth to show us the way to be in a right relationship with him, if that's actually true, we need to do something about it. We need to respond to it. That's why people spend a long time trying to write off the Bible as being mythological or legendary, because they don't want to acknowledge what the consequences are if we if we recognize that this is what really happened. But all of the hallmarks, all of the way that the Gospels are written, the way the Bible is written, the way it checks out with external histories, as in, other people who were writing at the time, Suetonius and Pliny the Younger, and all of these historical Greek and Roman authors, and all the ways that it checks out with archaeology, and the way that these towns that are mentioned are actually there, the way that the people who are described are, evidence has been found of them in archaeology. Every pointer says that in the little things, the Bible is accurate. And if it's accurate even in the almost inconsequential details, then there's a reasonable chance that it's accurate in the big stuff too. And if it's accurate in the big stuff, we need to do something about it. So I invite you today, whether for the first time or the 1000th time, look into it. Look into whether the Bible is history or whether it's just legend. And if you find, as I think that a reasonable person who is interested in truth should find, that it is true, if it's real history, recognize the consequences. Recognize that that requires a response on your part. And make that response to place your trust in the God who came in history, in actual events, who chose to live and die and rise again as Jesus. Take care and God bless.